Hi everyone, I'm here in ASKOLL in northern Italy with Emerio Figatti, and we are going to build, or I am going to build, a motor. This is an e-bike motor. Can you tell me about the specifications?
Abbiamo un motore, sviluppa 250 watt e 110 Nm di coppia in modalità boost, mentre in modalità normale fa 90 Nm.
So we've got a 250 watt motor with 110 Nm of torque on boost mode, and we have 90 Nm on normal mode. And it weighs 2.9 kilos. Emerio's now going to take me to the beginning of the production line, and I'm going to build a motor. Is this correct?
Correct.
Wow. So this is the first point of making a motor, the first machine. What are we going to do here?
Noi qui andiamo a montare lo statore.
Okay.
Ok.
The stator, we're making the stator.
Ok, il motore elettrico. Noi andiamo a mettere gli isolanti intorno a un pacco statore, che si chiama così.
So we're putting the isolation around the magnet, the motor.
Ok. E questo poi va orientato in macchina, va inserito così.
I'm now going to take the right parts and I'm going to do it. That goes like that. This part goes, uh-oh everybody. Is there a particular way? It just goes where you like. It's the same, okay.
It's the same.
So I can just put it in. Right, okay, that's in.
Wow.
Quality control. Now there's a little gap, he said, which is here.
So in corrispondenza di questo.
I have to put that way round.
Ok.
Right there. I tighten that down.
No.
Oh, wait.
Devi prima...
Quality control, everybody. This is very important.
Okay,
oh,
okay,
you've got to push it all the way home.
Ok, questo e anche questo.
Experience. So I have to make sure it's tight enough. So now we're going to close the machine doors. Safety door first. And then there's a big green button here. I can press start. Ready, everybody?
Yep.
Wow. So this is the the wire that goes around the motor to create the coils, which is obviously where the force comes from. I'm just checking that it's in the start position, everything's okay. I have to press the start button again for checking it for the second time. And now the motor is starting to be made, all the windings. So how long does it take to do this? Quanto tempo ci vuole?
20 minuti.
20 minutes. Okay, so we start. So what do you do for 20 minutes?
Continuiamo a montare il motore.
Okay, we keep building
qui si lavora, non si
here we
deve
work. Okay. So these are the contacts for the coils.
Inserirli. Ci vuole un po' di pazienza.
So you need patience.
Ok, devi inserirlo qua e giù.
You put that down, and that's it. That's one contact. So it goes that way round. I think I need my glasses.
Ok.
No, it's okay. I go
Giù
down.
fino in fondo. Ok. Stop.
And up. Done. And then we can try again. Wow, this is cool. This is quite relaxing, actually. Emerio was just telling me I was a bit slow. I need to be a bit faster. Efficiency, yeah? Productivity. Right, so we're on the third position now. So this is the PCB that connects the coils to the rest of the motor. Okay, so we need to check the resistance levels of the coils, the ohm measurement, to make sure that our construction is good or not. Take the two buttons.
Contemporaneamente, tener premuto.
You hold it down.
Ok, e la macchina fa la prova.
And then the machine does it on its own and does the test. And then it's done. The light is green after the test, so that means this coil is functional and okay. So this is the fourth stage, and we're going to put the coil inside the casing of the motor.
Orientato.
Orientated properly. So this is a very delicate operation. It has to be done properly.
Contemporaneamente.
You have to press these.
Premi la pinza sopra
Ready?
Sopra quella a destra.
On the right, I have to push the button.
Alziamo, ci spostiamo, ci riabbassiamo e adesso poi ripremere quello lì. Premi. Perfetto.
Done. That is now precisely mounted in the motor case. Right, this is now the stage where we're going to put in the stator that spins. So that's the magnet that spins inside the coils, which gives the power or the actual converts electrical energy into the mechanical energy. These two parts are really important. One of the reasons is that this is designed in-house, and this is where the know-how comes from ASKOLL. It's got the strongest magnets you can get, and it means this is where the efficiency comes from the motor. The interface between this and everything working together. There's a lot of design and know-how in these two parts. So this has to be positioned very precisely, because with the force of the magnets it can get moved around, so it's actually guided. Put the outer case on like that, you help it down into position, and then it moves into position there. Wow, okay, so that's down. Cool. Okay, so in the next phase we're going to put the screws on here. So we've got the axle, which has got a diamond coating, which means it turns inside this, which is the main gear for that drives from the pedals.
Ok.
That fits in. Okay, cool. So we're getting now the other gears.
Prendiamo, li posizioniamo in una maschera.
So we've got this sort of mount here to hold everything in the right place. And then we take the whole group together.
E lo inseriamo.
And then we insert it like that.
Delicatamente.
Delicately.
Ok.
Okay. I actually noticed that Emilio is very experienced with this, and he's doing lots of little things that keep this a high quality product. So he's always checking and making sure it's obviously natural to him, because he does it quite a lot. They challenged me to put this together because apparently it's quite difficult. So, all right, so in it goes. Ooh, in. Now we've got to put all of the...
Deve tenerli premuti tutti e tre e girare contemporaneamente. Oh. Bravo.
Done. Listen to that, everybody. Inventor Batch Alex. This is the next phase, and we've got here a circuit board. Now, I think this is an inverter. Is this correct?
Yes.
Oh, this is the ecosystem of the motor. Here we've got the engineer here, Ilario. He's watching us to make sure everything's okay. So basically, what we've got going on here is we've got the MOSFETs, which control the power, along with the capacitors, and this is the microprocessor part of the motor on the inverter board, and this is where we put all the software and everything that we need in order to make the motor function properly. And obviously these are the cables for attaching to the battery and all the other parts of the motor. So, right, Mario, show me how to put this in. This looks a bit more complicated than normal.
Sempre con molta delicatezza.
So very delicately, we've got a couple of plugs that get pushed in there. Then we've got another plug there.
Okay.
It looks like, to me, this is a very repairable system. It looks like you could easily take the parts out and repair it. You can do that. You can do good maintenance and good... Right, now.
Andiamo a fissarlo.
We've got to fix the PCB in place. The screws going into place. And what's really cool is this machine picks up every screw perfectly. You don't have to fiddle. That is cool, and a perfect torque. So this screw doesn't look much, but apparently it's very low profile, and that's been thought about very carefully, so when it's inside the motor, it doesn't interfere with anything else. So we're almost finished. We've got to do one more thing, which is close the motor. So we've put a cable pass on it, and we've got the gasket that seals the motor.
Ok, e poi andiamo a chiudere il tutto.
And then we close the case of the motor.
Ok, completiamo l'avvitatura dall'altra parte.
So then we again reposition the motor. Notice there's a rig to hold the motor all the time.
Ok.
So we can lift it out of the rig that was holding it, and we have our finished motor. So this is the last part, which is where we verify and do a quality control check on the motor. So we load the firmware into the motor, downloading all of the software and checking what's going to be put in there. Okay, so it's basically uploaded the correct firmware. And the green light means it's now ready. In theory, how long should it take to make one motor?
Circa 10 minuti.
So it takes about 10 minutes to make one motor. And you can do multiple motors at the same time on the production line. Wow, that's cool. So now we can put this in a bike and we can go and ride. Now this is a very important point about ASKOLL. This motor has a Shimano compatible frame mount. So any Shimano frame within reason can fit an ASKOLL motor. Don't forget the channel is sponsored by Liat and this video is supported by ASKOLL. We're in now a very important room. This is the testing room. Here we have the banca prova, or the test bench for the motor and the e-bike. And this is Ilario, who is going to explain to us a few questions I have. How do we get 250 watts?
Se noi guardiamo la normativa europea,
So if we look at the European normative standard,
loro chiedono una potenza di 250 watt in regime continuo attivo.
So they need 250 watts of continuous power.
Noi possiamo con questo banco simulare un carico continuativo del motore che è finalizzato a durare diversi minuti, si va anche all'ora.
Okay, so basically with this test bench here, they can measure a certain amount of time and a certain amount of power to calculate the changes needed for the software to make it 250 watts, correct?
Yes. Un aspetto importante è che il motore per qualche istante può dare potenze anche sensibilmente superiori ai 250 watt, ma la normativa dice che a regime poi deve stabilizzarsi su quella potenza.
Okay, so with this machine you can also simulate and create a greater peak power, but according to the regime it has to return to a 250 watt nominal power level. And it's all done, and the calculations are all done here. So how much power goes from the battery to the motor?
Allora, nel nostro sistema riusciamo a prelevare fino a 1200, anche quasi 1300 watt di picco dalla batteria.
Okay, so you can suck through about 1300 watts max at the peak moments from the battery to the motor.
Allora, noi diciamo che è importante usare il nostro sistema motore e batteria accoppiati assieme perché nella scelta della componentistica elettronica si possono prendere componentistica premium o componentistica diciamo un po' più economica. La differenza fra le varie componentistiche è l'efficienza, quindi noi optiamo sempre per componentistica premium e questo permette di avere un sistema efficiente e di avere poca energia che va in calore.
Now I'm with Marco Sotta, who is in charge of the test bench, and he's going to demonstrate a few little tests.
Qui abbiamo praticamente il nostro programma sviluppato internamente che serve per andare a vedere nel motore e controllarlo e azionarlo manualmente, quindi senza stare a pedalare come fa poi un pilota.
So we're going to now show the torque settings and the power limit and the speed limit of this bike on this setting. We're going to run a program now to do that. Okay, so away you go.
Quindi partiamo. Adesso è come se fosse pendenza zero, quindi strada piana. Vado a banco e faccio partire le pendenze.
Right, so he's now going to go and make the system appear like it's going up a hill. Okay, so on this display here we can see the power currently that's flat, and we're going to now simulate going up a hill, and we should watch these numbers change.
Okay.
Right now it's going up 5% inclination, and the power has jumped here on the motor, showing that it's now asking more torque to keep the bike going along at the right speed. And then in a minute it's going to pass by. Right, so now 15%. That's a steep hill. 15% is
good.
It's pretty steep. And the power has jumped up. Now it's 600 watt. It's peaking at 600 here. It's losing 6 watts of power. So questo va fino al 4%, 20.
Allora, questo l'ho settato al 15 massimo, però se vuoi andare più su lo setto al 20 e lo facciamo ripartire.
Sì.
Ah, ok?
Vai.
Ok.
Okay, I want more power. I want more power. So I've asked him to make it steeper. At 10%, it's going to 20% now, and it's climbing, and we're at 600, 700, well, 600 watts, 600, almost 700 watts every now and then. I've noticed that the power is fluctuating, so it's simulating a rider as well, so somebody who's pedaling the bike, rather than just a constant power. It's about pedal strokes. Look, it's just now going downhill. We're at 0%, and in fact, we're coasting, we're freewheeling a little bit here. So this kind of usage with a 754 watt-hour battery, back down to 0, You can go for about an hour uphill, maybe, more or less. A bit more than an hour. So we've come outside now. I'm here with Marco again, and I've got here the Focarini Nero, or Nerone, and on it is the ASKOLL Ultra C90 that we installed earlier. We're now going to load 3 different firmwares, which we can only do with Marco, onto the motor to do a comparison and see what it's like with different firmwares for different motor responses, which are above and beyond what you can do with an app. So this is the first software we're using now. I'm about to go ride it, and we're going to go and do the technical climb. And this is the original software from where the motor started. So this is likely to be not as developed as the further softwares we're going to try later, but we're going to go and find out. Right, this is actually the perfect trail to test ride on because it's a lot of loose rock. We've got some steep technical rock, and we've got some tight corners, so we can really now get into the software and figure out what's going on. First part, I felt like, okay, this motor is smooth, but there doesn't feel like much of a variation in the power. A classic error people make is they're using too much of an easy gear, but it's also a way to discover how fluid the motor is. So here I'm going to start in first on this technical climb, and we'll see what happens. Let's see how we go. Wow, that's a little nervous. Oh, a minute. Oh. There we go. Yes, that's not working properly. Right, let's try again. Let's try starting from here. I hit the thing and turned it off. That's how nervous it is. Let's try it again from here. Yeah, I can feel it. The motor hasn't got the grip. It's not consistent and constant. There's a dead spot. It's like I'm pedaling and it's like, ugh. There's a big hole, and then I'm pedaling again, there's a hole. It doesn't feel smooth at all. But this is how the software started. Okay, Marco is now loading the second software, which is the production version that's available today. It should be a bit better, but we're going to go and try it, obviously. Right, I'm going to try the same trail, but second version of the software. Ah, smoother. Ooh, yes. Ah, that's better. Oh my goodness. That's so much smoother. What the heck? Wow, very clearly different. It was a smoother reaction. I was more connected to the bike, and the power peaks were a little bit lower, but on the peak, but more maintained. So I was able to cover this ground much more easily. Right, so now we're going to load the third software. On I go. Via.
Sui pneumatici c'è una perdita di circa 10%.
Well, that's interesting because basically 10% efficiency loss on the tyre. But then we were just talking about the efficiency loss, the power that exits the battery, into the motor, through the chain, through the actual drive shaft. We're talking about 30 to 40% efficiency loss. So although it might say 1,300 watts here, at the actual wheel, we're probably only getting 750, 800, maybe.
Yes, depends by the style that you use, the chain, and of course of the system that we are talking. ASKOLL is different from Bosch, from Yamaha and other brands. For sure.
Okay, so that's really important to remember. So let's not get wrapped up in marketing numbers too much. Okay, this is very different. Again, that's interesting. Oh, that was interesting. I felt like on that time that the motor was giving me a lower peak and my leg was more responsible for the power output than the motor. But if you ease off on the leg, you can feel the motor covers you and still pushes you through. Different to the second version, definitely. I'm a bit stuck between the second version and this version, to which I prefer. This is very smooth. This is like the smoothest motors on the market. Okay, so we're loading the fourth software. The fourth software is a bit different. I'm going to go and try it on a very steep, very grippy surface off-road to try the boost mode. Something really important to notice, that the size of the motor is directly proportional to the amount of heat that it can get rid of. So if you have a small motor, it's very difficult to get rid of heat quickly, and that is basic physics. So this is a steep hill, as you can see, throwing rocks at the cameraman. This is where boost mode makes sense. We're talking 30% here, and I'm going to start right on the steepest part, and we're going to go up about a couple of 100 meters. The idea is to give you an understanding of why we have boost mode. This kind of condition of riding, steep like this, is very rare. I don't know if I can do this. It's more than 30%. Let's try. Wow. Yes. Wow, that was easy. I can't put the saddle out much because I lose grip. Oh, here we go. I can do wheelies. Yes, I can wheelie a bit. Woohoo! This is fun. Oh yes, here we go. All the way up. All the way up. Whew, I'm almost done. 1,000 watts all the way. I just proved something there. So basically we're finishing the video there. We've got a beautiful location in Calterano. That's very important. I always mess up the pronunciation still. We've got a really good motor here. It's got a lot of power, a lot of torque. We've got a great battery, which is really well integrated into the motor system. It's very dependable. I've basically exceeded what's necessary here, even with the steep trail. Is there anything else we can add to this experience and this video?
Ma io, come hardware, secondo me ci siamo, cioè c'è poco altro da fare dal nostro punto di vista. I passi da fare sono tutti lato software e l'obiettivo nostro è quello di fare un prodotto pensato alle bici e non alle moto, se mi passi il termine. L'esperienza che deve avere il rider nell'uscire deve essere l'aspetto chiave, cioè lui deve sentirsi lui che pedala e non essere sopra una moto. Questa è la mission nostra per fare un motore che sia l'estensione della bicicletta e non un altro sport.
Cool. So I think we'll leave it there. Don't forget to like and subscribe and write comments underneath. I'm sure you'll have a few opinions about this video, and we'll see you soon.